Hi guys, my name is Phil Davies and I'm the CEO at FlyForm. I'm here today with Phil Wattleworth. Phil, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks Phil. So hi, I'm Phil Wattleworth from ServiceNow. I'm the product line sales manager for IT business management.
So Phil, I've been around obviously the ecosystem quite a long time. You've been here for a while now as well.
Yeah.
I've watched the journey of ITBM with great fascination. Do you want to talk us through a little bit about how that's gone over the past couple of years and where the product's kind of currently at?
Yeah, gladly. So we've just made so many advances in the last 3 years around ITBM. So if you think through the different ServiceNow releases across that period, we're just continually bringing in new capability, new features, new functions, but also really strengthening what I describe as our better together story.
Okay.
So how we really interact and play off with IT service management, IT operations management, and really bring that ITX story together in terms of better together capability. That's as well as all of the product features and functions, that connection is something on the platform that's making a big difference.
I think it's always been a great part of the platform, isn't it? That the more bits they can bolt together in the feature, the different modules, the more exponential kind of value they get from it.
Absolutely.
What kind of use cases are you seeing with ITBM and ITSM? Like off the top of my head, I think about things maybe like people are booking projects into ITBM and then needing resources over in the ITSM side or raising changes and things. Is that kind of the typical use case, or are you seeing?
It's a good example of a use case, and what we're giving people is visibility across all work.
Okay.
So rather than looking at their project activity in isolation and in, if you like, a siloed project management system, they can genuinely see all project activity as it relates to changes in operations, it relates to changes in service.
Got it.
And they give genuine visibility across the whole resource pool. What are they working on? What have they got capacity to work on? And where can we kind of fill some of those gaps?
That's powerful.
And that's very powerful. It's a big changer in terms of getting better resource utilization and better bang for the buck in terms of IT spend.
Utilization is always a key. It's always on my mind in our organisation, and I think anything that can be done to smooth out that capacity journey alone is a game changer, isn't it? To actually see where the gaps are, fill the right people in the right places. So, and how about simplification of the product? We are seeing a huge uptake with our, so everyone we work with almost at the moment wants to do ITBM. Even if they come in as ITSM, we kind of show them and they want it. And I think a lot of that is around the perceived user experience and potentially the simplicity now of that implementation and getting it in. They're not scared of that anymore. Can you talk a little bit around what you're seeing in that?
We're seeing that in IT business management a lot. So again, as we go through the different releases and the different ServiceNow releases, we're just bringing in more user experience that simplifies the work that people do.
Okay.
And that's important in terms of showing a real what's in it for me to the project management community, to the enterprise architects, to the business relationship managers. All of the people involved in that ecosystem of delivering work can only benefit from a better user experience. Community is absolutely key. So we've got product management people here at the event today, and I've already hooked them up with customers this morning so that they can actually hear about our journey and our roadmap, what we're planning for the future, but much more importantly, and to the point of the question, they can give their input. They can say, do you know what would work well for us is this. It's, we're more interested in resource management or financial capability or whatever it happens to be, because the whole market in terms of how they deliver work and projects is changing. User experience is key, and we will listen to the customers to drive that better experience.
That's awesome. We love the product. We use it internally, and our goal is to run the whole of FlyForm on ServiceNow. And I love the fact that we can go into customers and first of all tell them, we're like, look, this is how we run our stuff, this is best practice, and also we're going to run your deployment through agile development in this tool. Everything you're going to get the visibility, you're going to see what we're doing, and they're like, well, can we buy that? Can we get this in and can we put it on our instance? We're like, absolutely. What does that look like? And it's a great messaging. So one of the other things I saw, Phil, around a lot of improvements in the latest releases is the mobile experience. And we're seeing a lot more people first of all, everyone wants to go mobile now because of the nature of the workforce is changing with iPads, iPhones, everyone's kind of doing that. But what kind of use cases and conversations are you having around mobile with regard to ITBM?
Couple of key areas. The first I'd call out is reporting. So it's actually putting the mobile experience in the hands of execs who want to simply consume reports on a mobile device. The other one I would then talk about is how we're increasingly pushing notifications as to approval steps in workflows. I've got to fill in my timesheet. Simple stuff as well as some quite often complex stuff, but just driving that again to a notification through the ServiceNow app. And the important element there is the fact that it's an app. We're not, if you like, just bringing a website experience onto the phone. We're generally delivering that through the ServiceNow app so people can get notifications particularly and interact in a way that's familiar to them.
That's awesome, and it's familiarity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because everything these days at home, you use app. I'm at the point where I'm at my desktop in work, my laptop on the screen, and if I want to book a train ticket, I actually will get my mobile and do it on the app because it's an easier experience for me than trying to go to trainline.com. I'd rather use the app, and I think people, even in work now, if we can push them to that as well, and they start to pick up ServiceNow's app because their dashboard is there, they're used to navigating around it, they're getting their push notifications in the meeting, everything becomes a lot better and smoother, there's a better experience.
And a point that you just made is a really valid one. The workforce is changing. The workforce is changing, and the workplace they work in is changing.
For sure.
And if we're genuinely going to make the world of work better, it's what people expect when they come in, because they have choices now as to where they can land and what they want, where they want to work. And those employees that offer a great, engaged employee experience will succeed out of it.
More productive, happier people, they're going to stay. Yeah, we're seeing it, and especially with we were talking about earlier, our shift to a lot of our younger workforce. They expect it.
They do.
They come in, if you give them a piece of paper or something, I remember 10 years ago I was working for organisations with manual paper-based processes, and I'm like, really guys, we're here and we're still doing this? And to know that those companies are still out there doing that now, and really we want to live in the world of apps, it's the game changer. People, if they demand it now, they expect it. And
I think that there'll be a natural process of people saying, hey, I do that on my phone now.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a, if you like, over-the-shoulder experience to say, well, I'll do that as well. And what we'll only continue to do through innovation at ServiceNow is improve that experience, which will draw more and more people to it. I think in terms of the future, you're only going to see ServiceNow disrupting more aggressively in this space in terms of how we genuinely change the way people work. There's too many old practices, too many old technologies, and too many old ways of working that we can rip and replace with just a much better user experience, which ultimately, let's put it down to what the outcomes that's going to drive. It's going to drive greater productivity, greater efficiency, and a better bottom line within our customer base. And that's really where the magic happens, is when you can have that kind of business outcome experience and impact. That's when you really are changing the way people work. What we're doing is replacing mundane work activity and enabling people to be more productive in functions that really genuinely deliver more impact and more change. So we're taking away a lot of the noise in people's daily work activity with virtual agents, and we're just replacing them by helping people to focus on much more productive activities.
And it should give more job satisfaction. People are going to get value out of their jobs and feel engaged again. Yeah, we see it all the time with people doing mundane stuff. It's nothing more soul destroying when you're sat there doing something you know is a waste of time, basically.
Very true.